What if I told you that the best striker in the world does exactly the opposite of what they teach in every single academy? While everyone talks about running more, pressing more, and touching the ball more, Erling Haaland spends most of the match walking. The incredible thing is that this apparent laziness is turning him into a goal-scoring machine. Today, you will discover why walking might be the most lethal weapon in modern football. Because the most dangerous striker in world football isn't saving energy by accident. In reality, he is manipulating something much more powerful than the defenders themselves. He is exploiting the way the human brain works. And once you understand why, you will never look at him the same way again. At first glance, the statistics make no sense. Against Brazil, Haaland covered approximately 9 kilometers, and nearly 84% of that distance was done walking. Meanwhile, Kane averaged about 11 kilometers per match, and Kylian Mbappé made roughly twice as many maximum intensity sprints. However, Haaland finished his World Cup debut with 7 goals and an impressive 39% efficiency rate, outperforming the debuts of Messi, Mbappé, and Cristiano Ronaldo combined. So, how can the player who apparently does the least end up scoring the most? The answer begins with everything Haaland decides not to do. Modern football demands complete forwards. Kane constantly drops back into midfield to help build the play and create chances for his teammates. Mbappé demands the ball over and over, takes on defenders, and shoots frequently throughout the match. Haaland plays a completely different sport. He rarely drops back to organize possession. He almost never spends long periods trying to beat defenders in tight spaces. His assist numbers are modest compared to other elite forwards. In almost every traditional statistic, except for scoring goals, there is always another striker who seems to contribute more. And that is precisely why so many people misinterpret his game, because they are evaluating him with the wrong criteria. Most great forwards try to influence every single attack. Haaland only wants to influence the attack that ends in a goal. And that difference changes absolutely everything. Because it leads us to the strangest habit in modern football: walking, not jogging, not constantly offering himself as an option, simply walking. To many fans, it looks like disinterest. To defenders, it looks harmless. But behind that calm movement, something fascinating is happening. And it has much more to do with psychology than tactics. Our brains evolved to survive. For thousands of years, humans had to react immediately to sudden threats: a running animal, a falling object, or an attacking enemy. Because of this, our visual system automatically prioritizes things that move fast. The higher the speed of an object, the sooner our brain identifies it as a threat. And football defenders are no different. When a winger accelerates down the flank, when a midfielder breaks through the lines, or when a forward starts a run at full speed, the defender's attention is automatically drawn to that movement. It is an almost instinctive mechanism. But here is where it gets even more interesting. Haaland often decides not to trigger that mechanism. Instead of becoming the player who moves the most, he becomes the one who draws the least attention. And that is where the true illusion begins. Human peripheral vision detects fast movements with incredible ease. That's why you immediately notice when someone runs past the side of your visual field. But slow movements go largely unnoticed. A person walking calmly usually blends into the background, and Haaland exploits precisely that biological limitation. While defenders track the overlapping fullbacks, control the runs of the midfielders, and constantly watch the path of the ball, Haaland walks, step by step, into dangerous areas without demanding immediate attention. He doesn't disappear physically, he disappears mentally. Because the human brain cannot process 22 players at the same time. It needs to constantly filter information. It decides which movements require immediate attention and which ones can wait a few seconds. When the ball moves out wide, the defender focuses on those who actually seem to pose an immediate threat, and the striker who is simply walking ceases to be a priority. He doesn't become invisible, he just stops looking urgent. And that tiny difference creates what every forward searches for: space. But the story changes even more when mental fatigue sets in. Many people believe that football only wears you down physically. In reality, defending also exhausts the brain. For 90 minutes, a defender must analyze positions, passing lanes, opponent movement. For 90 minutes, a defender must analyze positions, passing lanes, opponent movements, tactical coverages, and the location of the ball, practically all at the same time. It is a massive mental load. Now imagine marking a striker who only walks for 15 minutes. At first, you stay alert. You constantly check where he is. You make sure he doesn't slip away. But minutes pass, and nothing happens. Then, a very dangerous question creeps in. Is it worth continuing to spend mental energy watching someone who doesn't seem to be participating? Or is it better to focus on the players who are actually attacking? Sooner or later, almost every defender makes the same choice. They relax their attention slightly, not completely, just enough. And for Haaland, that is exactly what he needs. Because while others are burning energy throughout the match, he saves it for the 5 meters that actually decide a play. That explains another surprising statistic. Against Arsenal, despite covering less distance than many of his teammates, he reached a top speed of 36.2 kilometers per hour, the highest recorded by any Manchester City player in that match. He isn't avoiding running, he is choosing when to do it. Instead of wasting energy on dozens of medium-intensity runs, he saves it for a single explosive acceleration at the exact moment the defender least expects it. It is efficiency instead of activity, quality over quantity. And that philosophy is also reflected in where he shoots from. His first 6 goals of the tournament came from an average distance of just 7.5 meters from the goal. This reveals something very important. Haaland does not look to shoot more times. He looks to shoot better. Many forwards try their luck from distance or awkward positions. Haaland waits patiently until he is in a situation where the probability of scoring is overwhelmingly higher. To some, it seems like he barely participates, but in reality, he is silently increasing his chances of success even before touching the ball. That patience helps explain why he has one of the best goals per minute ratios in Premier League history. Not because he shoots constantly, but because he shoots when the odds are heavily in his favor. Of course, none of this would work without the right system. A striker can only specialize this much if the rest of the team perfectly understands his role. In Guardiola's Manchester City, Haaland is not required to be a playmaker. Players like Rodri and Bernardo Silva take on the responsibility of controlling the ball and creating chances. With the Norwegian national team, it is a similar story. The creative players generate the play, while Haaland stays near the box, waiting for the right moment. The system is not designed for him to touch the ball more often. It is designed so that every touch has the maximum possible impact. And that difference is massive, because matches are not won by who touches the ball the most. They are won by what you manage to do with those touches. And that is why the most demanding matches can favor Haaland the most. When spaces disappear, when defenders are under maximum pressure, when every mistake costs an elimination, the player who best understands time and space becomes even more dangerous. Haaland doesn't spend the match looking for opportunities. He waits for the defenders to stop expecting them. His walks are not moments of inactivity. They are moments of calculation. Every step gathers data. Every pause invites the opponent to relax. Every second without touching the ball prepares the single second that actually matters. That is what makes his style so special. Most footballers try to force the game to happen. Haaland lets the game convince the defenders that nothing is going to happen. And just then, he changes absolutely everything with a single move. The next time you see Erling Haaland walking on the pitch, don't just look at him. Watch the defenders. Notice when they stop looking over their shoulder, when they shift their attention entirely to the ball, and when they believe that the danger has passed. Because usually, that is exactly the instant when Haaland decides to become the fastest player on the pitch. And by the time everyone realizes what just happened, the ball is already in the back of the net.